If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Magliulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the Colts here. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. It is time for Football Frenzy, Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. I'm Alex White, alongside Chris Andrews to my right, Sportsbook Director here at the South Point, and Vinny Magliulo to my left. How are you guys doing? Vinny, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Alex. Yeah, Friday for a lot of folks, not for Chris and I.
That's
It's just
right.
another
Monday
day
for us.
It's Monday. That's right.
And that's why it's our favorite day here, kicking off the weekend. 3 great days of sports. Before we get into it, of course, on Football Frenzy, if you are new, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. It helps us out. And we do an hour of college football. So we'll go through week 9 here, give some thoughts, give some plays if we like them, where the line has moved. And then the second hour will be all NFL for week 8. We'll also give some updates of who is in, who is out. A lot of quarterbacks out this week for the NFL. But before we do that, something big happened this week in the NBA, and we've kind of waited for you two to be at the desk with us to talk about it. But a scandal in the NBA, sports betting wise, and then kind of a under the ground blackjack thing happening. But your thoughts on it, Chris?
Well, it was poker was the main
Poker.
thing. I don't want to poker. I don't know much about. I don't want to pretend like I do. But the sports betting, I just wanted to comment on it because these guys are betting props. That's kind of, and there's some other stuff, some nefarious things going on. And I think we're just right now at the tip of the iceberg. But they're betting mostly props. And I said this in the beginning when DraftKings and FanDuel started becoming very prominent. And of course, they said it's not gambling. And you had guys like Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft bought significant pieces. And I'm not sure if it was DraftKings, but I think it was FanDuel. And I remember saying at the time, this is ridiculous. First of all, it's gambling. Second of all, it's the most fixable thing in the world is these individual player props. But what happened and what's come about, 2 things. I think you may see legislation, whether it's on the state level or the federal level, to ban player props. Bad idea. You're just going to put everything offshore. You're not going to accomplish a goddamn thing. But let me tell you the other part. This is on the bookmakers. What kind of numbers are you taking from, some of these, they paid out like $250,000 on guys who were like, that I've probably never even heard of, what kind of bets are you taking on that? And I've talked to my good friend Vinny, and, I would say, I would guarantee, not guarantee, but I'd like to bet, and this is a betting show, I'd like to bet if you go through, it's a bunch of these young kids who have no experience booking real action, Vinny, like you and I have done for like the last 60 years. They have no experience doing it. They're just like guys that came. A lot of them come from like Google or Yahoo or, God knows what. They look at this AI and all this other stuff, and they don't know the real nuts and bolts of how this business works. And I put this on the bookmakers for taking those kind of bets on those kind of situations. And I was very fortunate as a young man. My Uncle Jack, who I've talked about many times, was good friends with Bob Martin. And I said, Bob Martin is the Babe Ruth of this industry. And I remember being a teenager and Bob Martin saying it. He says, there's very few things in this business that are completely on the up and up. And I've always remembered that, and I always had kind of a skeptical eye about things. But these kids today, like I said, they're relying on quants and AI and whatever else they have in their computers. They don't have the regard for how the real world works. So that's my statement on it, but I'd like to hear from Vinny as well.
I mean, excellent points by Chrissy. There's a couple of things here too, Alex. I mean, let's say, if you look at the legislation, I'm opposed to legislation. I think it's up to the regulation and the operators, because once something is legislated, where's it going to stop? Where, the next thing what do you see from the government saying you can't do this? We've been doing this for a long time. I'd say Chrissy brought up 60 years. I'm just talking about in the state of Nevada, where we have a highly regulated, licensed, audited business model. To have the government come in and say, you can't do this, where does it stop? Because the next thing will be perhaps on table games, on slots and things like that. So that's not a good precedent. The biggest safeguard, and to me, one of the things that I would look at is this: if you're telling me, and I've seen some of these numbers that were allegedly bet on these prop bets. Let's look at, if we had last night's game. Now, if somebody wants to come up and bet $25,000 on the side, that's one thing. You don't take $25,000 on a player prop, okay? Because the first thing I do, if I had an employee that took the same limit to a player prop without my approval, without Chris's approval, in the case of the South Point, first thing I'm going to say is, I'm going to want you investigated. What are you doing? Because that's irresponsible. So the other part is, your safeguards are this: as it keeps running, right? How many times is it bet? Not only how much was bet, but how many times, and things like that. So there's going to be more information. I think there's going to be a lot of more expansion to this investigation as it goes on. But it's unfortunate too, because there's people's lives now that are going to be altered forever, and not in a good way. So it's very unfortunate. One of the other questions is, did we see any of this activity? Well, we didn't book those props. So
I talked to my crew. We book, NBA. We book player props once we get to the playoffs. We take a dime.
Right.
If somebody tries to bet 25 times, I think we're going to be alerted. But we take a dime. I mean, how much are you going to beat us out of?
Now, the other thing, I will say this, and I, we've seen on this show where I've said the NBA needs to, when it comes to the injuries, the reporting of these injuries. I mean, we can't have a situation with the NBA where a player is questionable in the morning, then doubtful, then likely to play. It
was Karl Anthony Towns yesterday.
And here we are in the first week of the season. There has to be more accountability because I'll tell you right now, you get the NBA's attention. I'll tell you what, I'll put the numbers up when I see when I see the lineup. That's going to get their attention rather than at 9:00 in the morning Pacific time.
Right. Well, of course, there is a coach that was allegedly involved too. So I'm sure that will come into play now with the lineup and everything. 34 individuals across 11 states arrested at this time. So we'll try and keep up on that. But yeah, pretty wild for that to come down this week. Everybody was all excited. NBA back in action, and just 2 days after the opening night, it's all happened. But all right, well, let's get to our football talk here. We're going week 9 in college football. Vinny, I'm going to throw it to you first. 3 games tonight, 2 of them pretty big spreads here for good reason, and then one of them a tighter game here between Cal and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, 3 games, Alex, and again, 4:30, 7 o'clock Pacific, which is nice. Of course, we have the World Series starting tonight too, so there's a nice mix and plenty of NHL action. So it's going to be a nice Friday to jumpstart the weekend. You've got North Texas and Charlotte, a game out of the American Conference. And the American Conference, we have to start mentioning the American Conference too. And the reason for that is when they're going to have the bids come out for the playoff, the American Conference is probably going to be in the conversation, particularly as we get into some of the other American Conference games on the schedule this weekend. It bears watching, right? Because, and people can call it what they want. Is it, politically correct? It has to be, a group of 5 team that gets in there, or 2 group of 5s team. I get it, but this North Texas team is a very good team, and here they are, at 6-1, 2-1 overall, and going against Charlotte, who has yet to win a conference game. So that game, we're seeing plenty of North Texas money, game from 25 up to 26. Total holding steady, not a lot of movement on the total, but not a shock with that kind of favorite, right, Chris, that it's going up that high. Now up to 61.5.
I made the game 27, so I really have no feeling on the game. North Texas had a bad 5-minute period there last week, and cost them the game. Maybe cost them an overall ranking and a berth in the playoffs. Yeah. But that's still a very, very good team. And like I said, I made the number 27. I have no real feeling on this one.
California and Vatek in the ACC. Yes, Cal. I still have to catch myself. Chrissy and I. They're in it. Yeah, they have to travel across country.
That's
from Northern Cal to. By the way, Virginia Tech with off a bye as well. But Cal, nice surprise team. Yes. I think this year at 5-2 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Again, you wonder about the travel. Hopefully, weather didn't impact their travel with delays or anything like that along the way, because, and you would think, I think in this day and age that these are charter flights, certainly hope so. But Virginia Tech opened 4, the game is up to 6. So pretty strong support for the Hokies in this one, and a 2-point move to the over. And the other game, Boise against Nevada. Well, look, here's the best way I can sum up this game. You can look at the records, and, it was a close game last year. Chris, I know you're close, near and dear to the Nevada program for all your years up in northern Nevada. The only losses so far for Boise, South Florida and Notre Dame. The only win for Nevada, Sacramento State. Okay, so there you have a game. That's 3 touchdowns. It opened 22. I think it's going to go back up. I don't see this coming down. Could be a look-ahead spot, maybe, but Boise can't afford another look-ahead.
I made the number 21, so I got no real opinion here. But I got to go back to the California game. I think his number's gotten way out of reach. California's been up and down. There's no question.
Good point.
Been very, very inconsistent. But part of inconsistency is occasionally they play really well. Mm-hmm. And Sagapolatelli, the kid that I love he's an Islander. You thought it was one of your countrymen with that name.
We're all God's
that kid's been very good at times. He's been bad a couple of times too, but he's a freshman. I think this number's gotten too high. It's not going to be one of my plays, one of my official plays, but I definitely like California. I'm looking. There's 6.5s in the market. Uh-huh. The way the trend's going, you may see 7 by post time tonight. But I like the dog here.
Well, I do have my weather report here that I didn't look at before the first show. But now that Vinny brought up weather, 43 down to 40 feels like 41. Not much wind, just 4 miles per hour, 59% humidity. But
good football weather.
Good football weather for.
For the Hokies.
These kids are from Northern California. They're not the beach bums hanging out in San Diego and stuff. This is Northern California.
Okay, very good. But I agree with you. I did think it was getting a little out of control. Of course, interim head coach there for Virginia Tech, Philip Montgomery, done a pretty good job. Yeah, they've been more competitive. But then to your point, or not to your point, to help out with Nevada there, they did go to a true freshman. In Carter Jones, and he's looked a lot, a lot better.
The other thing, and I spent years when I first got to Reno, Nevada, what was still called UNR at the time, was in the Big Sky, playing against, Montana State, and Boise. I remember going to a Boise Reno game. One of the best games I ever saw. It was like 48-45 final. Reno beat them. But since that time, when we see Boise now in the national spotlight, and a couple of my friends we've talked about, that could have been Nevada. had they done things right.
Point.
They didn't do things right. Not that they did things so terribly, but Boise did everything right. Coaching hires, investing money in that program, everything. What you're seeing out of Boise today, I mean, with a slight change in history, easily could have been Nevada, easily. But, a lot of things could have happened, but obviously didn't.
And Boise in that conversation, as Vinny was talking about, that could be one of those teams to make it into the playoffs as they did last year. But the American Conference, very competitive. I would have to guess it's going to be one of those teams. But let's go to our Saturday slate here. We're going to start off in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Bearcats are a 3.5-point favorite, Chris, over Baylor. Total 67.5. No surprise there. Baylor's gotten into quite a few shootouts. Once again, their defense struggling, but very good offense there. Anything for you? 3.5-point spread?
Well, I made the number a little higher. I made it 5. So, again, not enough to really play. But I talked about inconsistency on California's part. It seems like Baylor has some of that similar trajectory, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I like the favorite a little bit, but not enough to play. But I thought the number should have been a little bit higher.
Taking the points here, right? I mean, this game's moved 2 points to the dog, and now sitting at 3.5. Look,
we did open at 5.5.
Yeah, right, Chris. On Monday morning, and here you have. Look at the Cincinnati team. 6 straight wins since a 3-point opening day loss at Arrowhead to Nebraska in a game they very easily could have won. You have to look. They're undefeated in the conference here. So fighting for a playoff spot. I have to believe that there'll be some Cincinnati money here. Now, what's that threshold going to be? Given that it's 3.5 now, Alex, folks are probably waiting for the 3. But one of the higher totals on the board at 67.5.
I will point out now at this time in the college football season, a lot of teams have 5 wins, trying to get that 6th win to get a bowl. Yep. And some of them, like Cincinnati, just got their 6th win. Some people like to use that angle, maybe a little bit of a letdown. So could make the case there, taking the points with Baylor. But
yeah, it depends on the school, and I don't see that out of Cincinnati.
Right.
I think they're well coached. I mean, Vinny, you said they're undefeated in the conference. Hell, they're looking for a conference championship. Bowl game. Going to the Blue Bonnet Bowl. I don't even know if that's still around, but I don't. Going to some minor bowl game. I don't see that being. What they saw as their threshold for this season. No, they're looking for much bigger things.
Good point, Chris and Alex. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the bowl issue. A bowl game now for, I think, let's say maybe a group of 5 team that the last couple of years has struggled and then now they're a little bit relevant and that might be a big deal for them. But here's what we're seeing with bowl games now, outside of the bowl games that are part of the playoff. How many players are opting out and things? So the bowl games, incentive-wise, don't have the same incentive that they once did. And again, the playoff, the expanded playoff format is certainly that's a byproduct of the expanded playoff format. Absolutely,
great points, and important to always evolve, right, as things are changing.
Sure.
So just looking at things like that, and maybe it not being so important for the Power 4 schools. But let's go to Morgantown here, West Virginia. Vinny, struggling this year, playing up against TCU now. 17-point favorite for the Horned Frogs, total 55.
At home. 17-point favorites. I mean, this is a 2-point move to the visitor. 4 straight losses for West Virginia. This has typically been a West Virginia matchup. But TCU by 2 touchdowns here. This is something that's a little bit curious. I mean, 2.5 touchdowns, Chris, in Morgantown. That's a pretty tall order. I'm not so sure that West Virginia's packed it in.
I don't think they have. I made this number 13. I think we're up to 17 now.
Yeah,
man, that looks high. That's a big number. And again, 17, that just gives you a push. You have to go over that 17 to get the money. So now you're looking at 20-ish. So 3 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns and a field goal is just going to get you a push for a difference. I don't know. I think his number's gotten too high. Like I said, I made it 13, but so far there's been no resistance. And I'm looking. I see a couple 17s with some juice on the favorite.
Wow.
So you may see a 17.5 here.
Oh.
What's getting kind of close for me, I got to tell you, that looks that looks too high. I'm looking, everybody knows I'm in the Westgate contest. They got it 15.5. If it was 17.5, I'd probably bite, but they got it 15.5 on their contest. But if you can find a good number here, I think West Virginia might be worth a play.
Agreed, Chris, because I really thought about it because I'm 11 right now. So
You made it
even
11.
the
I made
15,
13, yeah.
but I just didn't want to get involved there.
It's been a push. Like I said, Westgate puts out their numbers on Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. So even since then, it's, off our number, it moved 2 points. Off of their number from just 2 days, it moved 1.5 points.
And you look at that, Alex, right? You say you made it 11, right? And you go, wait, 17. Let me double check. You do a double take, right?
Yeah.
You go, let me check my math, right? It happens, yeah, for sure.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. But, just to bet it, you're right. If I see 17.5, I got to take a little bit of
you
that.
might see it.
Let's go to the top of the ACC here with Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets, another 17-point favorite here at the South Point, hosting Syracuse. We know they had an injury to their quarterback earlier in the season. Total 53.
Well, this one I don't disagree with. I made it even higher. Considering the quarterback injury, I think Georgia Tech's probably in for a pretty good day, and I just got to wonder are they going to run it up or not. Well, my numbers came closer to 20 in this game. But, you just got to wonder how much do they really want to win by. But I don't see Syracuse really having too much right now, especially without their starting quarterback. I kind of like the favorite. Again, not enough to play, but I like the favorite in this game.
If you believe in payback, Syracuse won by a field goal last year at their place. And I know Georgia Tech is looking to keep their ledger clean. So that's something that, in this Georgia Tech, look, certainly in the conversation for the ACC title game. They're not only are they 7-0, but they're 4-0 in the conference. So this is a game they can't overlook. And again, the fact that they got beat at Syracuse a year ago, I think is going to add some incentive, even though they did take the 18 here, right? I think we opened at 18.
We did open at 18.
So
we're down to 17.
But I have to believe that particularly in some exotics, the exotic bets, there'll be plenty of Georgia Tech money.
A little bit of wind there. I did highlight this one, just 9 miles per hour, sideline to sideline, though. So I don't know if that total dropped at all. A little bit, 55 down to 53. Yeah. So that could be some of the reason. And, of course, Syracuse struggles on offense. But, Vinny, Georgia Tech 7th right now in the country. So got to just keep taking care of business, get to that title game for sure. Another team that is ranked very high. How about number 2 here, Vinny, for Indiana?
Man.
Really impressive from the Hoosiers. Did not cover last week against Michigan State, but now they're a 26 favorite over UCLA, who's really turned it around. Total 52.5.
I think, Alex, and see, well, I'm looking at this while I'm going over it. I have in my notes, check on Nico.
Yeah, he's questionable.
Is he?
Maleva? Yeah.
Yeah.
He for the quarterback for UCLA. Now, UCLA started the season, as we know, 0-4. Made the coaching change from Foster. They're 3-0. They're playing very good.
Got that Neuheisel kid, offensive coordinator.
Yes, Rick Neuheisel's son doing some very good things with that offense and scoring points. I have to tell you that not only do I think this Indiana team is better than last year's team that made the playoff, but their power ranking is going up. Yeah. Yes. Again, we continue to address and upgrade or downgrade our power ratings. And it was a pretty convincing win a year ago in Southern California by Indiana. It was like 42-13, won by almost 30 points. But
that was early in the season.
It was early in the season with a different UCLA team, right, Chris? Because they made a run at the end of the season, right?
That was the kind of that lit a. I remember talking to a guy. I could name drop very easy. I'll tell you after the show. Who's a UCLA guy. And I said, man, because Indiana was like a 6-point favorite at UCLA. This is before we knew how good Indiana was. And I remember texting him, and I said, hey, what do you think? He said, I wouldn't touch UCLA. And he's a UCLA guy. Yeah. So, and then Indiana beat him up pretty good. And that's when that lit it up for us to say, boy, Indiana's 2 things. Indiana's really good, and UCLA ain't so good. But they did come on towards the end of the year.
They're playing very well right now. But, UCLA.
I would check on the quarterback, though.
No, you have to.
It says he did return back to practice.
Okay.
And that was as of 4 hours ago. But you're right. Did suffer right knee injury against Maryland. So.
Yeah. If he's 100%, I think that number's a shade too high. I made it 23.
Sure. The thing about it, to note, I mentioned that UCLA started 0-4, and they've won 3 straight. They're all conference games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They're all conference wins.
Yeah.
Something, keep them.
Like I said, if he's 100%, I think that number's a little too high.
Yeah.
Because there's 27s out there in the market. We're 26.
Right.
But there's 27s in the market.
Has moved to Indiana, by the way, off the opener by at least a couple of points.
Honestly, one of the most impressive turnarounds that we've seen from any team so far this year. Vinny, right back to you. Let's go to Louisville here. 26.5 against Boston College, total 54.5.
This, again, ACC game, important ACC game. Louisville at Boston College a year ago. And I pay close attention to recent years, but I also tie into how, the transfer portal worked for the teams. This is when you look at this, where Louisville opened as 26.5, it stayed pretty consistent here, right, at 3.5 touchdowns. The Cards won the last couple of years, and both of the games went over. This is a game Louisville has to have because they've got a pretty favorable schedule the rest of the way to keep themselves alive in the ACC conversation, Chris.
I think Jeff Brom is just a hell of a coach. He has Louisville ties, obviously, so he may stay there for a while. And I think if he does stay there for a while, they are going to be one of the top teams in the ACC and maybe even in the country. I'm a little tentative betting on him as a favorite. I think he's a great coach when you can get him as a dog. But I got to tell you, and everybody knows, I love Bill O'Brien. I was sick when he left Penn State. I thought he had that program pointed in the right direction, considering all the sanctions that he had to overcome, which were really debilitating. And that's really why he left. But I still made this number a lot higher. My power ratings come a lot higher. I would not touch this game because, like I said, Louisville Brom is a big, big favorite. I'm just not sure he's gonna, not call off the dogs at some point. But my numbers do come higher here.
Of course, coming off of that big upset win over Miami, 24-21, as a 13. Well, the number did move, but double-digit favorite there over the Canes. And now we're going to the Canes next.
That's the perfect spot to bet on Brom.
Yes.
Excellent. Absolutely.
Standalone, too, Friday night game. That was a very good spot for them. How do we think Miami responds here? Because they are laying 30 at home against Stanford, total 45.5.
Well, I'm a big Stanford fan, too. But, boy, I don't know if I want to get in front of this Miami train after coming off a horribly disappointing loss. And I think to the bettors, it wasn't that much of a shock, but they were a double-digit favorite. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure those players in that locker room and the coaching staff all expected a big win over a conference rival. I don't know. I think my numbers are, let me look at my numbers here. I made it 31. So, it's right there. Yeah. Stanford has 3 wins, and I'm hoping they get bowl eligible. I love Stanford for a variety of reasons, but I'm not sure they could do it this year, and I'm not sure they could do it this week either.
So Cal plays today. Stanford. I know they're big rivals. You think they got like a discount on the charter?
Maybe they did. Good idea, Vinny. There's some pretty smart kids over there. Maybe they knew to call ahead.
The Cardinal getting a double dose of Florida schools here, right, in back-to-back weeks. Yeah. Miami. This is a spot for them to get well, and maybe I think the coaching approach here would be a reminder. Look, last week we can't overlook anybody, home or away. So this number here, I know it's 30, really hasn't moved, but that's a big number. And you look, what's interesting about this, and I think it's gonna the total. You have a 30-point favorite and a total of north of 48 on the opener, and it's coming down. Well, I think if you like Miami, what do you think they're going to win the game? 30-0, like 36-0, or I guess so. If you want favorite and over is, it's a little
I put out the
tricky, right?
scoring props. What do I have? Stanford 5,000 to 1, I think, to be the highest scoring team of the day. I think it's 5,000 to 1.
Oh my gosh, 2,000.
2,000. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
You have to ask, if you're betting Stanford here, you have to say, can they get in, a couple of touchdowns late third, or
If they get
fourth
two
quarter,
scores,
right?
they could cover
the game.
I mean, if they
That's
get to
what
10,
Yeah.
they're going to cover.
Yeah.
I'm right there too. I made it 29, so nothing for me in that one. We'll see how they respond. I do like something in this one, though, in-state rivalry. And if you like the dog like I do, this is one of the spots that you want to bet at 14.5 now. Vinny, at first, they bet Michigan up to 15, right?
Yeah.
And now we're seeing the buyback here and people coming in on the dog with Michigan State. But I like the coach. I like this team. They hung in there for a little bit with Indiana. And then that offense was just a little too good. But Michigan, they're a team I want to back at home, not necessarily on the road.
Yeah, and again, they did look. It's an in-state rivalry game. A 7-point victory in the Big House last year by the Wolverines. Michigan State, hard to figure, but they started the season 3-0. Now they've lost 4 straight games. Kind of this is their game, right? This is a huge game for them, for the in-state rivalry. You would say, years ago, Chris and I would say, well, for recruiting purposes. Well, it's not only for recruiting purposes, it's for NIL purposes now too, right? And for the transfer portal purposes as well. So, I think initial money came in on the Wolverines. They're still waiting for Haynes, right? Their running back. I don't know if there's an update on him yet, Alex. I think he's still questionable. Maybe a game time decision to see if he can go. But the Spartans are still looking for their first conference win. Tall order here, but certainly in an in-state rivalry, it's not a surprise, Chris, that they're looking at the home dog.
I made it 14, so I really have no opinion in this game. I've been mentioning since week 0 to really aggravate Vinny. I've been mentioning it all year that I have a friend of mine, very sharp guy, was high on Michigan State. Hasn't really come to fruition, but I think the potential's there. Like I said, I made it 14. I really don't have an opinion here.
We'll see. We'll see if they can keep it close here in this one. Michigan, of course, you mentioned just 7-point win last year, but this offense is a lot better. With Bryce Underwood than it was last year. But all right, Chris, let's go to Chapel Hill here. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. North Carolina catching 10.5 at home against Virginia, who does have a ranked 16 next to them as well. Is that too many points? We've got a total sitting here at 51.5.
I don't think it's too many points. I like the favorite here, and I'm probably not going to play it. Again, looking at the Westgate contest, they have a 10.5. If it was 10, I would probably consider it. But we're at the point in this season, and it's easy to pick on North Carolina, but there's a lot of teams. You're either going south or you're going north, and it's kind of easier to go south. And I think we see that a lot with some of these teams. They're just kind of borderline, and they're playing worse or playing worse or playing worse, then all of a sudden just falling off the table. I'm not sure that's going to happen in North Carolina, but I think it's very liable to. And I also think that Virginia, and I think it was a couple weeks ago I had mentioned, boy, I really had this offense underrated. And I went back and looked at it and said, gee, this team can score. So I like the favorite in this game. If you're out there betting, I'd make sure you get to that 10. Don't get the 10.5. Yeah, it's just one. Yeah, it's a pretty key number. But I like the favorite here.
Two very different teams from a year ago, right? And North Carolina won handily last year at Virginia, 41-14. The Cavs, again, here's another team that's undefeated, 3-0 in conference play. So I think Chris brings up an important point of the trajectory of the direction of these programs, and certainly Virginia is on the rise. North Carolina, look, been pretty well chronicled, all kinds of problems there, and I'm not surprised that there's support for the Cavs here.
It could go one of two ways, right? Because last week we did see a lot of fight from North Carolina. They covered against Cal. They were in that game, but that's just kind of another defeating loss there after really going for it on last Friday. So we'll see. I made it 10. Nothing really for me. My dad was leaning to taking the points here with Bill Belichick's team. thinking they could keep it close, but I'm probably going to stay off of that one. Vinny, let's go to Pittsburgh here. I really like this team. 6.5-point favorite at home since they made the switch to their freshman quarterback as well. Total 54, playing up against the Wolfpack of NC State.
Yeah, it took 7. It took 7.5 and 7 with NC State in this game. You know, Chris, I was surprised about this. These two schools, they haven't met in 4 years.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And been in the conference, but I was surprised. I had to double check, and I was like, wait a second, really? How can? So, I guess just some scheduling quirks and things like that. I don't think we're going to see that moving forward as much. But, again, Pittsburgh hanging around in the standings at 3-1. Start looking at not just overall record, right? We really get caught up in that. But in this day and age, of the expanded playoff format, pay close attention to conference records and when there's losses, who they're against, if they're against teams that are in the mix, because those are important tiebreakers.
Well, everybody knows I'm a Penn State guy. I'm not a Pitt guy. And my wife sometimes she likes to buy me shirts. I says, don't buy me a Pitt shirt. And I know you think you're doing me a favor. You're not. By the way, it goes for UNLV too, I hate to tell you. But anyway, so I'm not a Pitt fan, but since they made the quarterback change, I think this is a new team. And I'm definitely not a Narduzzi fan. I think he's just a very mediocre coach. But I made this number a lot higher. I was really surprised that all this, it's been all dog money. But I got to tell you, I like the favorite here pretty good. I think this is a new team, and I went and double-checked that I have a bad rating on NC State. Went back, looked through my numbers. I don't think I do. I think Pitt is just a good team right now, playing after the quarterback change and some other things that have kind of gone right for this Pitt team. I think it's a good spot for Pitt.
Me too. I'm with you, Chris. I really like it. It was Bruce Marshall who actually came in here and was on our show after they made that quarterback change, and it really got my attention, and I've been following ever since. And he's even better. First game he played in was at home. Then he did good on the road, not as good, but now going back home.
Well, he's 18 years old.
Yeah, we'll give him a
but
little.
But we're home again, so
a little break. I had this one skipped, but I do want to ask you about it because we're starting to see some movement here, and that's Purdue hosting Rutgers. You guys are at 1 right now. Rutgers the favorite. Couple shops are at Pick'em now. Curious if you're got two-way action, or you think you will move at your shop too? Or you think we're staying right here at 1?
Oh, man. This is one of those games. I actually like both coaches in this game. Rutgers, hard to see them as a big favorite on the road. I did think they deserved to be the favorite. But, again, Barry Odom, I'm not sure what happened at Missouri. But, we know he did a great job here at UNLV. And so far, he's done a great job at Purdue, which is not the easiest place to recruit and win and everything else. I wouldn't touch this game myself. I thought Rutgers did deserve to be a very slight home favorite, but I'm not sure I wanted to step in front of this. I got a lot of respect for Odom and Purdue, but I have it for Schiano as well.
So both these teams looking for their first conference win. I think that's got a lot to do with it. I think it's a play on the home team, especially the home dog. It opened as 3-point. Rutgers opened as a 3-point favorite at Purdue. I could see Odom using that as little bulletin board material, and so not a real shock here. And I think I would not be shocked if Purdue closes the favorite in this game.
Yeah, I do like. I took the 2.5 with Purdue there because I did make them a 1-point favorite at home. Not huge, but I think they could win this game. So got a little bit of value there.
It's kind of a sneaky good game there.
We'll see what happens between those two. Vinny, SMU laying 3 on the road against Wake Forest, total 53. This is one I've got to stay away from because I don't think I have the correct Wake Forest number just yet. They've kind of gone against them a few times, and they've been playing pretty good.
Yeah, they surprise you, right? When they throw in a good game, when you don't play them, right? So SMU here, they're betting the home dog here, and I'm not surprised either because SMU, frankly, even though they're undefeated they're 3-0 in the conference and are looking to keep pace, they're not as good as they were a year ago. And I spoke highly of them a year ago, but I'll be the first to admit that they're not the same team, particularly defensively, as they were a year, and maybe defensively close, but they were scoring more points too a year ago. So that overcame a lot of defensive ills, but no real surprise here that they took 4 and 3.5, and that's why we're at 3, right, Chris?
They are. That's why we are there. But I'm kind of with you. Have I underrated Wake? And I'm not sure. I had to look again. As a matter of fact, I'm going to look again here in just a second. But I think that I like SMU in this game. I know Wake has covered some numbers, and they've been a nice surprise team. But I know, again, Vinny said it, and I agree with him. Vinny was all over SMU last year. He's kind of fallen off from this year, and he's right. They're just not as good as they were. I think his numbers gotten a little cheap on SMU at 3. I like the favorite here. I like SMU.
One thing, though, as Vinny mentioned, they are undefeated in ACC play.
Yeah,
so
3-0.
everything's still right in front of them. They can still make it to the title game, which could get them into the playoffs. So even though they have a loss, but it was okay. So Virginia Tech was about a 10-point favorite, and Wake Forest won outright. We know the struggles that Virginia Tech has had. Oregon State is a mess. Wake Forest was a 3-point favorite. That's it. They won 39-14. So that's just kind of where I'm at with the range, right? Of the upset is a double-digit dog.
I had to look. What did SMU? Or I'm sorry. What did Wake? They crushed Oregon State last week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. 2 weeks.
Most teams do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
This year, yes.
Sorry.
The coach got fired in the aftermath of that
Just
game.
looking at the results.
But that was on the 11th. They had 2 weeks off.
Is that
right?
Was that a weekday game?
It was
Is that
Saturday,
why?
October 11th.
Well, if they didn't play last week, then
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah,
Jeez.
bye week.
Yeah, bye week
I'm off
last
the
week.
bye.
Yeah.
But
Bye
I'm
week
with you.
last
I leaned SMU. I just got a little bit nervous that I've been on the wrong side with that team. But let's go to an SEC matchup we have. I'm looking forward to this one. Ole Miss trying to bounce back after their loss. Oklahoma, they did bounce back after their loss to Texas. Big win for them last week, Chris. Now they are kind of a dead number here, right? 5.5 at home against the Rebels, total 52.5.
I made the number 6. So it's like right there. I hate to say because I had Mississippi last week. And I felt, lost by half a point. I took 7.5. They lost by 8. But it was kind of a typical Mississippi performance. They gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter, didn't score themselves at all. And it was one of those games where I was feeling pretty darn good. I thought, well, I got this one in my pocket. And, of course, it didn't happen. I made the number 6. Again, I think Oklahoma is just one of those teams much, much stronger at home. And I think when you're going to bet against them, be careful betting against them at home. But I made the number 6. It's like 5.5. I'm not even sure there's any 6s in the market. But this is definitely a pass for me.
Probably going to get to 6, I think. Tough back-to-back road trips for Ole Miss. They were ahead in that game at Georgia. That's why did not
most of the
change
game,
did not lower their power rating after that game last week. Tough. Hey, look, it's tough spot. They're on the road, and so didn't really make too much of an adjustment there. But not going to be surprised if there's more support for Oklahoma here, Alex. And we're going to need Mississippi in this game.
Ryan made a great point on our morning show. Trinidad Chambliss, of course, the quarterback for Ole Miss, that was his first road start, and that was a tough play. So even though Vinny, 2 road games in a row, he'll probably feel a lot more comfortable here in this second one. So I have no true opinion either, and a lot of that just has to do with Oklahoma's home field, right? So these two are pretty closely rated. But I'm excited to watch this one. John Mateer's looking healthier coming off of that surgery, so this should be a good matchup between these two. Maybe an under. I don't know how far it has gone. Yeah, it was 55 when I first said under 55. Now we're at 52.5.
Not taking anything away from Texas in that game, but he might have been better off waiting another week. Yeah. To your point.
Yes. Have to agree with that. All right, I'm going to skip down past a couple of these. And I do want to mention, no, we'll wait for Bruce Marshall play because I don't know what he had in
Alex,
that one.
could
I'll
I
have to
just
ask Ryan.
throw one thing in? I mean, before we get down to that, I just want to throw in
Yes.
a MAC game only because of for one reason. Western Michigan and Miami. Both these teams, 4 straight wins. They're both 3-0 in the conference. The MAC is looking to try to make a case. So whoever wins this game is probably looking to keep pace with Buffalo, who's a 10-point favorite this week. So just it's not that we can't. It's hard within an hour to get to every game, but I just wanted to throw that out there that these two teams are looking to keep toward the top of the MAC.
I made the number 2, so I have no real opinion in the game, but they are 2 pretty good MAC teams.
Yeah.
I made it 4.
Did you?
So
Okay.
I'm going to be on the home team here to keep it going, Vinny. I'm glad you did bring that up. It will be a contest play for me too. I think it's 1.5 in the contest. Yeah.
Yeah, it is 1.5 in the contest. Yeah.
So made it over a field goal, right? Getting 1.5. I think that's pretty good spot for me there.
Yeah.
But how about Nebraska? You want to take that one next, Vinny?
Sure.
Cornhuskers coming off a loss against Minnesota, hosting Northwestern, who has been a surprise with Preston Stone there at quarterback. Any movement in this one?
Actually, so they laid the 7 with
laid the
Nebraska,
7, yeah.
and now up to 7.5. This is one of those matchups. They didn't play a year ago, but it's typically a home dominant matchup. Over if you look at the previous to last year where they didn't play, so I think that's what's driving this price here. So not a real surprise that money, but it should be a pretty good game. Nebraska's still, like, you keep waiting. You think they're going to put together this 60-minute exceptional game, and it's kind of been that way for the last couple of years, Chris. Of course,
Hey,
Nebraska
Vinny,
near and dear.
Tom
to
Osborne
our
isn't
owners.
walking through that door.
He's not anytime soon.
I always say I make my ratings based on pure numbers, pure objective, and but it's just a place to start. So I'm looking through my numbers, blah 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 blah. Nebraska 12, and I looked. I said, "That's a terrible number. That's horrible." But then, so we opened at 7, and the first guy, one of my sharpest players, came in and boom, he laid it before the paint was dry. I mean, it was up there. So maybe that 12, because I was looking to maybe take with Northwestern. Now it's definitely a pass for me because my numbers came higher.
Maybe what do you use?
It's 7.5.
I think it is 7.5. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not going to play it. Like I said, my numbers come higher. My heart says that number just looks way too high. Doesn't seem like that would be a game to play that. But it's hard for me to go. Not that I always go with my numbers, but it's hard to go against my numbers.
Agreed. And I double digit as well here for
Did ya?
Nebraska. Thought it would be a good spot. We were both on Minnesota too.
Yeah.
So I almost like when it works. Bruce Marshall does like Northwestern, made
Does
a
he?
great case for it. And I
Yeah.
said 7.5, it's a bad number to lay anyway. So
Yeah.
I passed on it as well. But that is what my numbers say. Vinny, back to you. Back to Fayetteville here. Arkansas hosting Auburn. Wow. The bettors really like the Razorbacks in
They
this
do.
one.
So here, Auburn, right, 3-0 to start the season. Auburn is back. Everybody's all excited. Not so fast, my friend, right? To quote Lee Corso, they've lost 4 in a row. You know what's interesting about this matchup? That the road team has won and covered the last 4 years. I mean, last year on the Plains, 24-14 Arkansas. So but yet, you know what, Alex? I think people are watching Auburn's tailspin, and again, 1.5 on the opener here at the Saw Point on Monday morning, and now you've got Arkansas as a 3-point favorite. So, if you're back in Arkansas here, boy, you certainly missed the best of the number. Maybe it's an in-game spot. I'm not sure, but it is all Arkansas. I'm not so sure we're going to come down the ladder the way we went up, Chris.
Well, if you look at these 2 seasons as a whole, big problems for both these teams.
Yeah.
Auburn's, though, is very recent.
Yeah.
And Arkansas looks like maybe they, again, Petrino, not my favorite guy, but I don't mind betting on him, I got to tell you. So I think he's got this team pointing in the right direction, at least for the short term. We'll see if there's any long-term repercussions for what he does at that school. But he's got them playing well. Boy, just too many question marks in this game. This is just a stay away for me.
Yeah, you don't have to play every game. But, another matchup where both teams are looking for their first conference win of the year. So.
At this point, though, I think we're getting just a little too out of hand. I'd have to be on Auburn getting 3 here. I mean, Hugh Freeze is really playing for
I still made him a favorite.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still playing, and his team's playing for his job there. Kind of that seat's getting hot.
Good point.
And the revenge, like you said, Arkansas won in their
it's
building
been a dog.
last year.
It's unusual, but if you look
By the way, in
at
the contest, Auburn has won. So,
I know.
You look at the last 4 years where the road team has prevailed. So,
but now I guess that's a good number in looking at it that way. But nothing for me in that one. Chris, are you surprised Iowa is a 9-point favorite in a game where the total's 39.5, them in Minnesota here? I mean, I think that number's correct. I can't fault you guys, but it's tough to lay that kind of number here.
Tough to lay, but that's what I made it. I mean, I think you're going to look at like, oh God, I don't know, it would be 20-10 final. Surprise you all that much? Wouldn't surprise me.
No.
I don't think Minnesota's going to get too many points on the board. But this is a good. Minnesota's the kind of team you want to bet on when they are a dog. So I could see betting this if you're to wind up with a 10, and I don't see 9 really as the high watermark.
Yeah.
In this what I'm looking at right now. But if the number were to get to 10, and it might, I think, like I said, my numbers came to 9. I wouldn't be eager to bet the dog, but I could see a 10. That's a big number for Iowa ever to lay against almost anyone.
I think there were some 10s earlier.
I think there was.
And they got gobbled up right away. Look, Iowa has, won and covered 3 of the last 4. 2 years ago, this game was just a grind-out game, 12-10, by Iowa. So, I'm sorry, no, I think Minnesota won that game, 12-10, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that the Floyd of Rosedale trophy? I believe it might be.
I don't know.
Somebody in the chat.
I don't think it's
confirm or deny.
I hope it's not a wooden reptile that we saw a couple of weeks ago. I still don't know. I'm still not convinced that was a turtle. But anyway, total on this one, 39.5. Went up. Hey, an Iowa total went up, and then we're starting to see a little bit more of that this year. Up about a point and a half.
I did make it a little bit. I mean, I'm at 42 here, but there will be some wind. And so, I mean, these two teams and a little wind, I see a lot of running of the football here. Vinny, I'm going to send this one to you. We're going to Lawrence, Kansas here. I was shocked when Bruce Marshall told us that Kansas State has won consecutive years here in this rivalry. I didn't realize that, how many years in a row they've won. Now Kansas is the favorite. 3.5 at your shop, total 56.5.
So toggling right back and forth, laying 3, taking 3.5, sitting at 3.5 right now. Kansas State has controlled this matchup for over a decade, but and Chris has talked about this. Kansas, the Jayhawks have gotten better over the last couple of years, and they've kept it close the last couple of years. So, in fact, Kansas State won at their place a year ago by only 2. So, Kansas trending in the right direction in this rivalry. It's hard to look at too. I mean, both teams are 2-2 in the conference, but Kansas has got a better record than Kansas State. Kansas State, Chris, right? We had as one of, if I think it was them and Iowa State in terms of the Big 12 this year to win the conference title.
I think Kansas breaks through this year.
Yeah.
I like Kansas. I think they're playing well. I like both coaches, really, but I really love Leipold. I think he's just done a terrific job. Wasn't the easiest play. Of course, let's look back a couple generations ago when Bill Snyder got to Kansas State. It was one of the worst programs in the entire country, and he turned that around. But since then, they've been, certainly in the national conversation every year. I think Kansas is looking to get there, and they've sort of been there the last couple of years. But I think they break through in this year. And this is probably going to be one of my plays. They have it 3 in the contest. Let me double check. Oh, I'm sorry. They got a 2.5 in the contest. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be one of my plays in the contest. Yeah, I like Kansas here. I think they break through.
Now 3.5 here, and at most shops. But Kansas, they need to break through. They have not won since 2008. according to Wikipedia here. So
2008. That's like about the year you were born. Something like
high school, but I was shocked. I really thought that they had won this one, but you're right, Vinny. It's been closer and closer. Lost by 4 2 years ago. Lost by 2 at Kansas State. So I'm with you, Chris. I made it higher.
Did you? Good. Okay.
I was shocked to see.
That makes me feel better because I think I'm going to play that one.
Yes, come on, Jayhawks here. All right, next up, where are we going to, Chris? We got to go to Salt Lake City here with Utah. Now, Dampier is kind of day to day, maybe game time decision here. Colorado catching 13 now. Was 13.5, so they are taking the points here. Colorado's coming off a bye.
Yes.
Total's 49.
Yeah, Sammy P texted me. Our good friend Sammy texted me. He said, look out for the quarterback for Utah. I said, Sammy, haven't they had quarterback questions for like the last 3 years? Hasn't this
We were over getting that text from you.
Jeez. But the money has definitely showed on the dog. However, I saw a little bit of sneaky money just in the last hour or so before we came on the air. Guy I highly respect came in and did bet Utah. Not enough to move the number because I got a lot of money the other way. But he did bet Utah, which made me think he's the kind of guy that might have some inside information. The quarterback's not out.
Right.
It's questionable.
Right.
So maybe questionable means he's okay. If he's okay, I do like this number a little bit higher. We opened it. 15? I thought the opening number was good, 15.
Yeah.
So we're down mostly 13. That's predominantly the number in the market. But if the quarterback's okay, I think I'd like the favorite a little bit here.
Well, last year was the first Buffalo win head-to-head in this matchup in 8 years. I think Utah's fully aware of that. You just have to wonder the Utes with a very tough loss last week, right, in the Holy War, too.
Yeah, that's a big one, yeah.
Physical game. We'll talk about that when we get to BYU, how it's going to impact them as well when they have to play the Cyclones. So, not real surprised that this number's come down because of the quarterback situation. But to Chris's point, it may go up.
Speaking of the Utes, did you just watch? My cousin Vinny was on last night, and I watched it. Of course, you got to watch. That's a must-watch.
Yes.
I mean,
I love that movie.
They stole a lot of my material, by the way. That's
well, you shouldn't have let him follow you around with a microphone,
I
Vinny. That was a bad move on your part.
I swear, I got to get a better agent. I got to get an agent, period.
There you go. Yes. I got mine right here. It is.
That's right, Alex. All I do is say, Alex, you have another assignment.
Yes. So Colorado, I think, getting a little respect because they did beat Iowa State before their bye week. But remember, Iowa State was dealing with a lot of injuries, especially in the secondary in that matchup. So they took full advantage. Let's go to Starkville. Vinny, you're starting this one. Mississippi State catching 7 against Texas. Texas was very fortunate to get the win over Kentucky last week. Now they're laying 7 on the road, total 47. Texas moving back up in the rankings, 22 right now.
Yeah, I want to see more out of Texas still, too, right? I mean, listen, terrific win against Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago in that rivalry. Difficult. They won in overtime last week, I think, at Kentucky against a very stubborn Kentucky defense. Tricky spot here, even though Mississippi State, who started the season undefeated and now has yet to win a conference game in 3 starts. So it's I want to see a little bit more before I start putting Texas. Listen, I still have Texas in my top 10 from a power rating standpoint. Still a good defense, especially. But I want to see a little bit more out of them here. And not really surprised that that they laid this number from 6.5 to 7. But I think pros might migrate to the dog at some point, or maybe watch and see how the in game looks, Chris.
I see it going up. We're still at 7. See circuit 7 with juice on the favorite. I see some 7.5 in the market. I kind of like the dog. I mean, I know in the contest it's only 7. For 7.5, I'd probably definitely be on the dog. I hate to take the worst of the number, but I got to tell you, Mississippi State has covered. I think they've only lost to the number once, if I remember correctly. So they've been a pretty good covering machine. I think large part of that is we had them greatly underrated coming into this year, I think we had Texas overrated. And I'm going to disagree with my good friend Vinny over there. I still don't believe in Texas. I have them pretty far down my rankings. So this would either be dog or pass for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to play them in the contest or not. Kind of leaning that way, but there's a lot of other games I like a little bit better. If it was 7.5, I would definitely play, but it's only 7.
I made it 5. If it was 7.5, I'd be all over it. Mississippi State has done good for me this year. I've been backing them as a dog, and it was that Texas A&M game they did not cover, but I mean,
but only once though, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Overtime against Tennessee, and then they lost to Florida last week, 23-21, getting 7.5 in that one too. So
did Miss State win this
they've been
matchup last
feisty.
year? Did Miss State win this game last year?
No, because I believe their quarterback Blake Chapin was already injured by this point.
Okay, they didn't.
And that's when Texas won 35
to 13. That's right. Texas won that game.
But yeah, I mean the other hesitation though. My dad's with you, Vinny. Has not brought Texas down. He made it 9.
I know. Kenny's,
So he's still.
So 2 guys I respect, but I do disagree.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that's good, though, because it forces you to look at that. We don't have to always. The great exercise, Alex, and you've been part of it now for the last few years when we do the NCAA tournament matchups, right, when they come out. And Chris and I have been doing this a long enough time. If we had the exact. Listen, there are going to be several games where we're close, right? We're within a half point or something. But if we get all of those games, and Chris, Alex, and Vinny all have the exact same number on all the games, something's wrong.
We don't need that show.
That's
That's what we got.
So,
but I respect the hell out of you, and certainly out of Kenny.
Chris,
but I just disagree.
As an odds maker and bookmaker, you have to look and say, did I miss something? Am I overlooking something? So you want to. That's how you get better at it. So, and you have that mindset.
Well, I always remember our good friend Scotty Shetler. We were talking about this 40 years ago. He says, if there's a room full of people and there's 10 horses in a horse race, give everyone a racing form. And guess what? All 10 horses are going to get bet. That's what's going to happen. So that's just the way this racket works.
Yeah.
Got to have him on the podcast for Bet Bash.
Scotty?
Yes.
Oh, you had to have him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
It was awesome.
Scotty's one of those old school bookmakers.
Great.
I thought about I grew up knowing Bob Martin. Scotty worked for Bob Martin. So,
Great.
Yeah. Chris, I put this on here because I'm curious your thoughts. I know you like this Aztecs team, and they have a great defense. Laying 3 on the road. Good coach here with Fresno State, though. Total 47.5. Is that where your number is?
Well, I made this number 3, and I have been on San Diego State the last couple weeks, and I think the number finally caught up to them. Not that it's a bad number, and I made the number 3. Kind of thought about it because I do this defense. I mean, for that level of football, I mean, they could play some defense. They have a lot of speed on defense, but I think the number's right there. So I passed on this game. I made it 3, so the number's right there.
Well, Chris, to your point, the money did come in on the under. Open 3.5. They grabbed it rather quickly. This was one of the first moves on the board on Monday morning. Both teams coming in off a bye, so very fresh, very ready, very focused for this one.
Should be a good game.
This one should be a good game. And again, tiebreaker involved head to head, and both of them with a couple of wins in conference play so far.
This one, I was looking at the dog. That's why I was curious because I made it pick, but I might not be high enough on SDSU yet. Both of these teams, I mean, really, their losses are to good competition. So
Fresno's pretty good. Or else I'd have made this a lot higher. Yeah.
Yeah. See if they can cover a field goal there, but should be a close one. Total 47.5 between those two. All right, Baton Rouge, Vinny, the big game of the weekend. It will be a night game in Death Valley. LSU trying to get back on track here, and they're catching points at home. 2.5. Texas A&M, they're number 3 right now. They're undefeated. They've looked pretty good, but maybe a little bit vulnerable too. Total 49.
You look at this home field advantage, which is one of the better ones in college football. It's better at night also. I mean, if Kelly had his choice, they'd play every game at night, at 7 o'clock local time or even later. So not a real surprise that they took the 3 with Texas A&M. Texas A&M won pretty convincingly by about 15 last year. The last 4 of these have seen plenty of points too. So I think we have a total right now of 49. I suspect we'll see some over money. Not a real surprise that Brian Kelly's team has seen that Texas has kind of dodged a few close or a few moments in some recent games where you say, wait a second, how did they but they overcome it. So it's a good matchup, and it's an important game in the SEC. LSU cannot afford another loss. They have 2 losses overall, and they're both in conference play. So I don't see even in the SEC or the Big Ten, Chris. I don't see a 3-loss team making a playoff.
Well, I think it'd be very difficult. Yeah. Vinny, I agree with what you said about this very tough place to play, particularly at night. And I got to tell you, I'm still not completely sold on Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I'm not quite there yet. I know a lot of guys are. I'm not one of them. I made LSU a 1-point favorite here, and it's 2.5 in the Westgate contest. Boy, if they added another half point, I'd definitely be on them here. But I'm not sure I want to take 2.5 because I think it's going to be a very tight game. But I think LSU, again, particularly they are at night, I think they should be ever so slight of a favorite. If it was 3, I would definitely take it. And there's, what time does this game go? 4:30? Yeah, 4:30.
7:30 there.
7:30.
Which is probably 7:45, given the, because none of these games start on time. So, pet peeve, sorry. Too soon.
By the time the beer and the whiskey gets flowing, it's probably going to be 7:45 back there. But I think this is a good spot for LSU and a very must-win situation for them, and playing at home at night. And like I said, I'm just not completely sold on A&M. If this was 3, I definitely would have taken it, but it's only 2.5, and I'm going to pass on the contest. But I could see playing it.
I'm one of those guys that's pretty high on Texas A&M, and I still made LSU the favorite in this one. So I do have them that close. I am taking 2.5 even.
You're going to take the 2.5?
I am going to, yeah. I know Garrett Nussmeier and their offense has been very underwhelming, but they're the better defense. They're at home. You're catching points here. So I think a lot of things favor LSU. I was fortunate. I was on A&M against Notre Dame, and I don't really know if I should have got that win. So there's a couple situations like that, and I think they could get tripped up here. A very tough schedule for the Aggies. So we'll see, but hoping they can keep it close here, LSU, even though Marcel Reed and company, their offense has been very good.
I got a flash here.
Yes.
For the NFL, A.J. Brown out for Philadelphia.
Okay.
Okay.
Devonta Smith game.
Oh, the Bears fan, we just heard a little chuckle.
Yeah.
That's right. He did give out Dallas Goedert because it's tight end day on Sunday. So
okay.
Just beware.
What does that mean?
It's the official
like
tight ends day.
I mean, what, really? Every position's got to have their own day, isn't it? Every week. So what does that mean? He's got to have a better stuff. Like if last week he went off, wouldn't have been tight ends day? I don't know. I'm just kidding.
It's official, Vinny. Last year, 17 tight ends scored. 14 different tight ends scored on that.
I guess we have to start paying attention to it. Just remember this, Alex. Every Sunday is Bookmakers Day. So just remember that.
Yeah, Saturday ain't bad either.
That's right.
Looking forward to this Saturday tomorrow. I am. And here's another good one because BYU is undefeated once again, but now they got to go to Ames, Iowa. Iowa State coming in off a bye.
Yes.
And I think that's why a lot of people like this spot for the Cyclones here. 2.5, total 49.
And BYU in after 4 tough physical games. But you know what? This team keeps getting it done. Again, with this, first of all, he's not a freshman anymore. This quarterback, he's what a job.
Yeah, fair.
This team has done. This is this one here. Not surprised, Alex, and I think the bye plays into it to get a little bit healthier for Iowa State. Kind of held steady at 2.5. I think this is a situation where if there's a 3, as I've often said, don't blink because you won't be able to get your contact lens in. It won't last, right, Chris?
What is 3 in the Westgate contest? And this is definitely on my list as one of the plays. However, you got BYU coming off. They don't call it the Holy War for nothing.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big game, and they won that. And you got Iowa State coming off a bye. I think scheduling-wise, it really favors Iowa State. I got to tell you, I'm still tempted to take the 3, but I could see where guys did bet on Iowa State in this game. I think it's just coming up tough for BYU in this situation. But 3, I mean, we all know that's a big magic number.
Yeah.
I may have to take the 3 here. I got it on my list as a possibility.
Good point, Chris.
I'm with you. I lean to the Cougars here, but one thing that makes me a little nervous is I mentioned Iowa State. They dropped 2.
Yeah.
We knew about it because everybody was betting Cincinnati. A lot of injuries on their secondary, and then Colorado beat them too. I was trying to look it up to see how many guys they were getting back, and I think it's 2 of the 4, definitely. So maybe I need to bump them up a little bit. But BYU, I mean, they're pretty physical in the trenches too.
Oof, that's a good team,
I
man.
think
That's a good team.
They can hang in this
Very
one.
good.
I really do. Did I miss a big one?
Let's back up just to one, Alex. Missouri and Vandy right above that.
That's a huge one.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
the
big
first to, this is where Missouri's dominance in this series
This
is
is
certainly going to get tested, right? First time Vandy has been a favorite in this matchup in like a decade. I mean, so it tells you how far Vandy's come, right?
Yeah.
And look, a lot of support for them. A terrific coaching job right there. And Missouri's gonna. This was a close game in Missouri last year. I think it was only a 3-point game a year ago. So they did, but again, to Chris's point in the previous game we talked about, 3 is still a key number in college, as well as the NFL, and they did take the initial 3, and now Vanderbilt sits at 2.5. Chris,
I made it number 3, so I have no real opinion in the game. But this is another one. What time is this game? It's going to be one of those 12:30 games.
midday, yeah.
Boy, I got to keep my eye on this one because I think this should be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I like both quarterbacks.
Yep.
I like both coaches. I like both teams. But I made it 3, gave them a little home field advantage for Vandy, and I think this is going to be a better game to watch than it is to bet for me anyway.
nothing for me either. I'm right there
Maybe
on the
in-game,
numbers.
Alex, would you watch it?
In-game.
You watch it, maybe? and
So
see?
I made it a little higher, and I
Okay.
like both offenses, but the problem is they both run the ball very well too. So I don't want to
Big
jump
total.
in there.
53.
Right,
53.
53's
They bet
high.
over a
I
little
know.
bit, didn't they?
And they're gonna run
A
out the
little bit
clock.
of, a little bit of over money coming in.
Agree with that, but so I'm gonna see how this plays out. But if it's a slow start, maybe I can get a better number, get under that 50, or if I get a 49, I can go over that. But should be a great game. Looking forward to that one. I kind of rooting for Vandy. Not gonna lie, I'd like to see them keep going.
Oh, yeah, me too. Like I said, I think
Good
Vandy.
story.
You look at the 2 schools, Vandy and Duke, that have a chance to. Stanford, I know, down a little bit this year, but Stanford's had a great history, going all the way back, Vinny, to Jim Plunkett when we were kids.
My goodness,
Even
yes.
before that, in the Rose Bowl days, like in the 30s and 40s. So great football tradition, even though it hasn't been great lately. But I think Duke and Vandy, high academics. I'd like to see them up
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good for the college game.
Okay, we covered BYU and Iowa State. Now going down to 187, 188 rotation number. Alabama just keeps rolling through here. 12-point favorite on the road against South Carolina, Chris. I'm going to tell you, Bruce Marshall, he liked Alabama, and I can't really fault him. It's been pretty disappointing for South Carolina this year.
I had South Carolina last week, and I remember just tweeting out, they just looked like a very poorly coached team. Yeah, I want to say with that. I made a number 13, so I have no opinion in the game. I do think it's a bad spot for Bama, coming off 4 straight wins against ranked opponents. I could see them maybe getting lulled to sleep here. And I was watching our good friend Joe Fortenbaugh was on Get Up this morning. Kalen DeBoer, as a double-digit road favorite, is 1-4 straight up. 1-4 straight up. That got my attention. Like I said, I made 13. This is definitely a pass for me. But Bama bettors and, Bruce, we love you, Bruce. Be careful. I hope he didn't. Well, I doubt Bruce put his whole bankroll on anything. But, I would be careful. I love Alabama. I think I got him my number 3 team in the country in my ratings. Love this team. They're playing great. But I'd be careful. There's a couple things that are pointing South Carolina's way.
They did take the 13, right? And I mean, Bama, this was a close game last year in Tuscaloosa. Maybe taking it also. Alabama's got LSU at home next week.
One more
Is it
thing.
a look ahead? I don't know. But I think DeBoer was especially after that first game of the season. You cannot afford to look ahead or let your guard down. So I think at some point there'll be this may be a public versus professionals type matchup where the public will be on the Crimson Tide, and the better, the professional bettors who've already spoken and taken 13.
I did go under 47.5 between these two. South Carolina struggled offensively. Defense has still been pretty good. So I guess that kind of leads me to the points too, keeping it tight and lower scoring there between those two. Another quarterback that you got to look out for is Memphis. Brendan Lewis.
Yeah.
Yep, he's was injured in that upset from UAB last week. What a good win for them. But now they're going to host South Florida. This is a huge game for both of these teams in regards to the American, Vinny, like you were saying. South Florida now a 6-point favorite. That number's gotten really high. Total 57.5.
Well, I could tell you, they're going to need Lewis against this talented South Florida team. So you want to definitely check and see because Memphis has won and done well in this matchup the last couple of years, right? So, but Lewis is obviously a major part of that. South Florida is up to 6 in this game, and that kind of tells you that they opened as 3.5 point favorites on the road. Yeah. So kind of look at the very least, Lewis is not going to be 100%, Chris.
Well, I mean, with Lewis, I made this game pick.
Yeah.
But you can see they completely fell apart against a horrible team last. I mean, UAB. I mean, they just fired Trent Dilfer the week before. So I mean, it was a terrible performance. They completely fell apart without him. I don't know. Is he worth 6 points? He might be, considering the way they looked last week against UAB. You mentioned it's 6. Vinny, I'm seeing 6.5s in the market here too. I would not touch this game. But like I said, if this was on the square, two really good teams that have both covered quite a few numbers. I think they're both like 5-1 against the number, something like that. Yeah. I was looking forward to this game. Like I said, made it pick, but without Lewis, I'd have to pass here.
Yeah, he's definitely a dual threat quarterback too. So to Vinny's point, it was a lower leg, so that might affect his running as well in this one. Chris, to Eugene, Oregon, where the Ducks are a big favorite over Wisconsin. Wisconsin has gotten shut out. Wisconsin's gotten shut out
Take this game,
2 weeks
Chris,
in a
please.
row.
I know.
32 is
I
the
saw
spread.
some other stat, and I'm probably going to misquote it. No Power 5 or 4 team has been shut out 3 weeks in a row since, I don't know when the date is, but
get ready.
Pretty long ago, yeah. But I was going to say, if there's one team that could do it, it's Wisconsin. And their offense. Somebody showed their drives for the last couple of games. It's like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I mean, it's like, a broken record. Yeah. And this offense is just terrible. And I liked Luke Fickell when he got that job. I know there's a huge buyout. I don't know if he could keep his job. It's going to be very hard. That being said, what did I make the number? I made the number 33, so it's right there. No play for me.
I mean, Oregon, they actually struggled in this game a year ago at Madison. I mean, they were a 2-touchdown favorite. I think they won by a field goal. Who does Oregon have next week? Because I'm thinking, I'm looking at the way this game is being bet. They took 34, they took 33, and we're sitting at 32. I don't know if it's a look-ahead spot, but how can you, I guess it's the number, but to Chris's point, Wisconsin hasn't scored in 2 games. I think they've only scored, I don't know if they scored 120 points for the season.
No.
Right? It's like 115 points. So they're not a good spot.
That's not so bad if you're in week 2. Week 7, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored 17 against Miami, Ohio, and then 42 against Middle Tennessee State. And then it's 14 against Bama, 10, 10, 0, 0.
Oof.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oregon does go to Iowa next week, but
okay.
I mean,
Interesting spot.
Yeah. All right, how about this one? I'll give you this one. We'll go to Lubbock, Texas, where the Red Raiders are hosting Oklahoma State. Shoot, that's not a good one either. Because it's the Cowboys.
I thought we were friends. Why are you
Another
giving
big
me
one.
these? I made this one. Made this one 39.
All right,
you know,
so nothing for us in
you
these
know,
two.
yeah.
You would literally have to look at the favorites in these last two or pass.
You just
right?
have to wonder they're
So-
going to take their foot off the gas at some point,
well,
which they might.
I think Morton is out for the. I think he's been ruled out.
I think he is,
they're going
yeah.
to give him. I mean, it was questionable, but I heard on the way in today that it looks like they're going to rest him this week and give him another week. So that said, they took the points with Oak State. Good luck.
Okay, 3 more good games. Chris, I'll give you one of the 3, I promise. Vinny, take Washington and Illinois. Washington coming off a brutal loss in the Big House against Michigan. Now they're a 4-point favorite, which I do believe is deserved. And the total's 54.5. The question is, how real is Illinois? Can they go into Washington and win this one?
I don't know. I thought surprised. I mean, not surprised that our Washington necessarily lost to. What? Please put that creature. Get that creature off the screen. My goodness. I know it's Halloween and all the science fiction movies are happening, but oh my Lord, look at that thing. Now I look at it. It looks like my 10th grade social studies teacher, Andy Duro. So
Just to interrupt, my grandson ate rattlesnake, or no, I'm sorry, alligator jerky the other day, and he couldn't wait to call me Papu. I ate my first reptile.
oh.
Yeah. I got another reptile. I wouldn't mind
jerky.
seeing you eat there.
Boy, oh boy, did we fall off the rails?
Yeah.
Illinois, 3 of 4 covers, and under. I mean, 50 against in the Ohio State game where that was right. I mean, that was primarily Ohio State. Washington 4 straight unders. I think it's you have to watch and make a decision on the total maybe in this game, which is trended to the under so far, but holding steady with Washington as 4-point favorites at home.
I made the game 4. It looks like
Yeah.
there's some money showing on the dog. I'm seeing some 3.5 and 3, the 3 minus 20 in the market, but I made the number 4, so no opinion for me.
I'm a little bit higher, 5.5 here with Washington. It's a little bit of a lean there, but yeah, Vinny, to your point, I mean, they've played a lot of good defenses back to back,
Yeah.
Washington. So I'd like to see that offense get going again, like we saw at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chris, take this Big 12 game. Arizona State, Sam Leavitt came back last week. They beat Texas Tech, and he looked very healthy. Now they are just a 7-point favorite at home against Houston. And we've liked Houston a lot this season, but I don't know if that's enough here.
I don't think it is enough. Willie Fritz, we talked about him, love him as a coach. He's done a terrific job with Houston. However, what's the good receiver for Arizona State? Looks like he's out. I'm terrible with the names. But I do see we're down to 7. We're back up to 7.5. I kind of like the favorite here. Once again, let me see. It is 7 in the Westgate contest. I might have to lay that number. I think that number's gotten a little too cheap. As much respect as I have for Willie Fritz, the receiver does scare me a little bit, taking away one more offensive threat. But I think Arizona State, they got healthy, and I think it's a pretty darn legitimate team.
So, both these teams. I mean, Arizona State off it was a pretty emotional game last week.
It was,
against Texas Tech, right? Texas Tech made that rally and fell short. And then, Houston beat Arizona in a close game last week. It looks like the way this game is trending from a betting standpoint on 8.5 down to 7.5. Is that what did last week take out of Arizona State? Well, we'll find out. Kind of a sneaky, pretty good game here. That's in that midday window as well. But I'm not surprised that they're taking the points here with Houston.
What'd you like, Alex?
I like Arizona State.
You like
too.
the favorite? Yeah.
I think I made it 10 here, and I've been on Houston a lot. But what we've seen from Kenny Dillingham, he'll have his team ready. I don't think they'll have any setbacks. But except for this setback, you are correct. Jordan Tyson has been ruled out.
He's out
with the hamstring, and he is the team's leading
good player
receiver. He has 628 yards on the year. But
that means something. I'm not sure how much.
yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens in that one. All right. I think this is our last big game. Well, we actually do have a request. So we're going to take your request too. So Tennessee, Kentucky, Vinny, I'm sending this one over to you. We're going to Lexington, Kentucky coming off of that brutal loss. And they shouldn't have ran that same play twice because that wasn't their strength against Texas. But now they got to go up against the Wolves here. 9-point favorite on the road, total 54.5.
Well, so the Vols have won 4 straight in this border war. 3 covers. Definitely the better overall team, but Kentucky's feisty. I mean, you have to wonder what, because they could have beaten Texas last week, right? And you wonder what that took out of them. It's always about Kentucky and Louisville in-state rivals, but this is a border war. This is a pretty big rivalry right here. By the way, I'd love to have the Jack Daniels and Maker's Mark concessions this week.
I got to tell you, I think our 2 wives would be perfect for those.
Let me tell you,
my wife's she likes the Maker's Mark.
I got to stop at the liquor store on the way home. But this one's going to be this one's good. They took the points. I'm not surprised, right, Chris? You probably thought about 10 in this game, but you knew that was going to get gobbled up, and the fact that 9.5 did get gobbled up tells you were right. When
I first started looking at this game, I'm thinking, this is a big game for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Probably bigger for Kentucky than it is for Tennessee. Yeah. I was like, man, I hope it's a big number. I'd like to kind of take the dog. Then I did, like I said, my numbers are purely objective. And I came to Tennessee 11. And I'm thinking, boy, if they even, like I said, your power rating is just a place to start. If they come out with 11, I'm going to be on the dog here. But they didn't. They came out with 9. And I'm looking in the contest they have at 9. If it was 10, I would take a serious look at the dog, even though my numbers come a little bit higher. But I think it's a good spot for Kentucky myself.
They'll be ready.
I mean, Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, the big story, looked great to start. But right now in conference play, total points for 136, total points against 146.
For who?
Tennessee.
For Tennessee.
So their defense has really been the issue. And on the other side, we know Kentucky,
opposite, right?
Yeah. Better defense than offense there.
Yeah, I said I was hoping to get the 11 that my numbers came to, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I'd like 10 if we could get double digits there.
Alex, I'd like to point out one other game, because a year ago at this time, we were talking about Army in the playoff conversation. A lot of folks were talking. I think this year we've got to talk about Navy.
Yes.
Undefeated.
That's a good team, yeah.
In overall, and in the American Conference, coming in off a bye against Florida Atlantic here, they should be very fresh. Even though they did take 16 and 15 and the game is sitting at 2 touchdowns now. But I'd love to see if there's a way to get one of the academies in the playoff. I don't think that would be a bad thing.
I always root for if I don't need anything in a game, I root for the military academies. I think just those kids.
Yep.
I've known a few over the years, not too many, but I've known a couple that have gone.
Amazing.
And I mean, there's a lot expected out of those kids, not just in the foot. But there's other kids playing. They might be playing soccer. I knew a woman that was on the swimming team. There's a lot expected out of those kids, and boy, I tell you, I just give them a ton of credit. So if there's nobody to root for. By the way, I'm going to root for Navy tomorrow. We're down to 14 with that game, so we opened the game 16.
Yeah.
I could get behind Navy. I made it higher. I like your opening number.
Yeah, I made it 16.
Probably going to double up on rushing yards against Florida.
Did you say we had a
Atlantic.
Request, Alex?
We have a request. It's the last game rotation number-wise, and it's Wyoming hosting Colorado State. And the Cowboys are a favorite here, 4.5, total 47.5. You have your number?
Yeah, we opened at 6.5, and I made it even higher than that. I think Wyoming's a pretty good team. Colorado State fired their coach. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Norvell, who a lot of animosity for guys from Reno like me. He left Nevada, went to Colorado State, and took like 22 players.
Right,
really.
yeah.
So it wasn't too sad to see him get fired. I'm not sure why the money showed on them. Do they think they play that hard for the new coach? I guess that's the anticipation. But I like Wyoming in this game.
I do too.
Little revenge factor, right? 24-10 a year ago. Colorado State.
Yeah, at home.
At their place.
Yeah.
So the game opens 6.5. Wyoming favorites down to 4.5. Maybe wait, see if you see 4 if you like Wyoming.
I do too. I'm even higher than Chris.
Really?
Yeah, I made it 9 here, but
Oh,
I was
made
on
it 9.
I was on
I
Air
made it
Force.
9. I opened
Oh,
at 6.5, but I made it just because I saw lower in the market.
okay. So under a touchdown. Yeah, I was on Air Force last week and they won by 3. So Wyoming played them really good too. That was my big loss. But the week before I was on Wyoming and they probably shouldn't have, but they had a comeback win against San Jose State. So they're playing good right now.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah. The only thing is, and Vinny, you talk about this, not really a tough travel spot for Colorado State going to
No.
Wyoming.
Yeah, and that is a rivalry. Those two. There's a big rivalry.
Good point. Yeah.
There's a huge FCS game. Are you guys are booking it, right?
Oh, we're booking it. Yeah, I don't have an opinion in it. I know we reached out to your father, who follows FCS pretty closely. We made North Dakota State a 4-point favorite. Is that what Kenny made it? I think it was like right about there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think
But
I-
we saw a few numbers in the market.
4.5. I think I made it 3.5 at the. I had 5.5 on a neutral, but I gave a couple of points to the home
Yeah.
South Dakota State.
I got to tell you,
It's a good game.
I can't wait to watch this game.
Both
Since
undefeated.
I got kids up in Montana, and Montana State have had good programs for years, but these two are the elite programs. I know Montana State's had last couple of years they've been right up there, but North Dakota State is just that's legendary.
I would love to know their record in the last few years against each other, but we'll have to look that up on a break
Yeah. Okay.
and we'll
They're
find
both
out.
undefeated going into this game. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
I looked at the numbers. North Dakota State looks much superior. But like I said, home field and big
Yeah.
game, and
Huge
the
game.
Jackrabbits and the Bison.
Perfect weather there. I did check that too, so should be good football weather
What's
between
perfect
those
weather
two.
in South Dakota this time of year? 20?
40.
No, yeah, it's actually nice, nicer than what you expect. I got to find the FCS sheet. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, we are a little over an hour and a half in.
We
We
are
still
over.
have NFL,
Quality,
but
Alex,
6
quality.
teams.
Yeah, I know.
6 teams on a bye. We'll go through week 8 pretty quick for the NFL. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Sports by the Book. Please, if the poll's not done, jump in the poll because we asked who your favorite underdog was for this week in college football. We'll be right back here on Sports by the Book.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
And we are back live here from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Sports by the Book. Vinny, Alex, and Chris Andrews here with you. We found out that record all time 65, 47, and 5 for North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Last 10 years, though, Chris?
5-5.
Should be a great game.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that should be fun.
Very good.
Yes, and a 4-point favorite here for North Dakota State. As Vinny mentioned, both of them undefeated. All right, so we'll go through the first poll because then the crew's going to put up another one that has to do with NFL. And Joey B, hopefully we answered your question for the Wyoming game, and hopefully we gave you some good information there. College poll, though, we are going part 1, Magnificent 7. Which dog are you taking this weekend? The options were Kent State catching 7 against Bowling Green, Northwestern catching 7.5 against Nebraska, Mississippi State catching 7 against Texas, and Houston catching 7 against Arizona State. Now I get it, the Magnificent 7. The winner was Northwestern, barely 37%, taking the 7.5. That's a good number. That's why. Followed by Mississippi State plus 7 at 36% against
Nice poll.
Texas. Yeah.
Good one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got
Sounds
some
like a-
sharp listeners out
sounds
there.
like a
Seriously,
prep
we
game.
do.
I
All those
wonder
sevens.
wonder how much or how many people picked Kent State in that one against Bowling Green. I imagine not very many.
Tough to back Kent State.
It
Alex,
is.
can I point out a couple of listeners? We
Let-
always
yes.
love. I mean, the polls are great. The chat's great and everything, but and we always enjoy when folks tune in and they get involved with the chat and the polls. But we always love it when they stop by too. So a couple of listeners did stop by last week to say hi to Chris and I. Sean Ferry from, I have to say this right, big. Unfortunately, he was a big Mariners fan, and he was here for the ALCS. He's from Cle Elum, Washington. Hope I said that right. So Sean, we appreciate you being here, Sean Ferry, and then Dave Hahn, otherwise known as Attila.
That's right.
In the chat. So Dave did stop by to say hello. So folks, whenever you're here, please don't hesitate to come by. And
I had some guys come by today. I don't know if he's listening. Mark Shannon, a good friend of mine from Reno,
nice,
came by, said hello, and Sam Ginsberg from my old stomping grounds in Squirrel Hill, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
There you go. By the way, if Chris and I owe you any money, don't come by.
Never heard of them.
Because we'll be absent.
Is this a good time to mention all the parlay cards that are available here? If you would like to come
Speaking
try.
of parlay cards, yes,
to
mention
collect
them
money
because of
from
last
these two.
week. What didn't
Was that 40,000?
Chrissy two
$40 10-teamer, yeah.
Yeah.
Paid $20,000.
20,000 for $40. Yep.
Yeah.
Good options here. Come check it out. Come say hello. And of course, we did briefly talk about this, but college and NFL, you can bet on the team to score first based on
the game time.
Game time.
Thank you, Alex.
Not time. And then the college football team to score the most points.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the favorite off the top of your head? Was it
It's got to be
Louisville?
like Indiana, maybe, or no, somebody. I think is it Oregon?
I don't
Indiana.
I don't know if
One of
Oregon
those-
is that early.
Oh, for the highest scoring team.
Yes.
Oh,
For the high. Oh no, that's everybody, right?
Yeah, that's everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for the day.
I think
your
for the
reaction for
first to
day.
score, I think it's Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Indiana,
Yeah.
4-1. to
We're
be the
usually
first team
rooting for
to
the
get-
favorite because they usually bet a dog.
Texas
Yeah,
Tech.
take a
Texas
big
Tech
price.
is the favorite.
That's a
for the
favorite,
most points at
Yeah.
5-1 in their
Yeah.
game.
Against Oklahoma State. Makes
Yes.
sense. Well, let's get to it. We got 25 and a little change here to get through NFL Week 8. And the poll question's going to be up very shortly. But same thing. I mean, we've got a lot of teams that are favored by a touchdown or more. So that's where we're jumping in, which dog you like for the poll in that one. And starting off right away, pretty much a touchdown here now with the Bengals. Joe Flacco, of course, they get the big win over the Steelers. So, and then on the Jets side, Chris, it's been a mess. I mean, they have had so many guys out now. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. They've got a few guys that are out already. So
You got Woody Johnson questioning who should be the quarterback.
that's right, and that too. So
Maybe
what are
should
you
question who should
thinking
be
in
the
this
GM.
one?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Looks like you have some animosity towards that
Oh.
franchise, Vinny.
It's organizational. It's
It
not
is.
just players. Please.
It is.
Go ahead.
That being said, I kind of like the dog here. I mean, it's up this. We're at 6.5, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of 6.5 in the market. I mean, come on, the Bengals a 6.5 point favorite. I know Flacco looked great last week, but we know what he is, and he was fantastic. Hard to pull the trigger on the Jets taking anything less than a touchdown. But I kind of like the Jets in this spot, plus the 6.5. Got the 7 for sure. This would be a play, and it might get there.
Yeah, if it gets to 7, it'll be a take by pros. I mean, again, that speaks to the number. Here you have a team that's winless, but how important is the number, especially to professionals? And then your novice and casual fans out there, listen to that because it is at the end of the day, it's all about the number.
Well, curious if we do have your offensive and defensive numbers up
Yeah.
because the big thing has been, the Bengals, but they've looked a little better defensively. And then you mentioned it about the Jets. It might be Tyrod Taylor. I think it will be
I have a feeling it will be.
starting at quarterback.
Don't be shocked.
So it's
Oh, that's okay though.
it's a tough one.
That doesn't hurt.
Is Hendrickson
that's true.
Hendrickson going to play this week for the Bengals on defense because he missed last week, even though it's almost like they.
They should get him back in this game.
Yeah, so that's a big help for the Bengals.
Yes,
Their
huge
best defensive player.
for their defense. Well, there are your numbers. If we can see, I think it might be right behind me. But Chris, you have yours in front of you. Where?
What the ratings?
Yes.
I do not have them right in front of me. By the way, before we get on to that, I was going to mention
Yes.
a guy texted me, and on Twitter, he had a very legitimate question: how do I have New Orleans so high offensively? And I have an answer for it. I didn't answer him because my one request: if you're going to answer me, if you're going to ask me questions, you have to be following me. If you follow me, and I even say that in my profile, I'll do my best to answer questions for my followers. But if you don't have the courtesy to follow me, you're asking me a direct question, well, I'm just not going to answer you.
There you go.
That's all.
Well,
Is
and
that
you have a
arrogance
lot
on
of
my part?
followers.
Maybe, but I mean, it is what it is.
You have a lot of people asking you questions, too.
I do have a
so-
lot of people asking me questions,
Yeah.
and I try to answer every one of them. Not saying I'm perfect. I'm definitely not. But if you're not following me, you're not getting an answer.
PSA. So give him a follow if you would like that answer, which we all would. So give him a follow with the Saints.
And
there.
I can't answer that question. I think you got Kellen Moore now, the offensive coordinator. I think he knows his offense is very limited. I think, and I don't want to get in Kellen Moore's head, but just the numbers will speak for themselves. I think Kellen Moore at this point in time is trying not to lose games, and that's what that offensive efficiency. Not so much how good is your offense, but how does it present you with an opportunity to win games. Now they don't have the quality to win too many games. They just don't have it. But I think Kellen Moore is trying not to lose games, and I think he's trying to build something. I think, going into this year, he had to know they're not going to challenge for a Super Bowl. They're not going to challenge for a division, but he's trying not to lose games. That would be my interpretation of what those numbers mean to New Orleans offensively.
And they've been good. They've been pretty competitive. You have to give them that. There's the Bengals, 30th right now in offense and 26th defensively. And the Saints, not great defensively, 29th right there, but 5th, that was the question. Where are the Jets, though? They're 24th offensively, 23rd defensively. So efficiency-wise, according to your ranking, they are better on both sides than Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I am trying to do some new things, some new and different things. And, at the end of the season, I'll take another look, and it may need some tweaking. But I think overall, if you look, I think they're pretty good. I think they're telling you at least a story that might help you find some winners.
I agree, definitely. Let's go to the next matchup here with the Texans coming off of a loss to the Seahawks against the Niners, who have played pretty efficient themselves with Mac Jones at quarterback. Brock Purdy is practicing. Houston, though, getting some respect at home, 2-point favorite, total 42, Chris.
Money's been all on Houston, and it surprised me a little bit. I think we saw, again, just how bad that Houston offensive line was, and I still think football begins at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Now, that being said, you look at San Francisco's defense, or look at, their injuries.
Yes.
Warner out for the year, Bosa out for the year. I mean, it hasn't reared its ugly head yet, but you have to figure those two guys who are two all-pro type players, at some point in time, it is going to make a difference. But again, great coaching staff there. I like Morris too for the or not Morris, DeMarco.
Yeah.
What's
Ryans.
For Houston. But they have a lot of problems at the offensive line of scrimmage, but the money is definitely on Houston. I made Houston a 1-point favorite in this game, so I have no real opinion. But if this number keeps climbing, you might want to look at San Francisco.
You got to look at the Niners. I mean, with their depth, what they've done, and the coaching job. By the way, not a lot of drop off between Purdy and Mac Jones. And
Not
I
much
think
at all.
Purdy's incentive is to get back. He's thinking about his job.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Mac Jones has
done
made
a
himself
heck of a job.
millions of dollars.
So he's played quite well.
Vinny, the Ravens, it's looking like Lamar Jackson will get to play. They still have injuries on the defensive side, but they're a 7-point favorite at home, which is one win against Chicago, who's coming into this one. Nice little winning streak. 49.5 is the total. What are you seeing in this one?
Well, I have to obviously commend the Bears so Ryan doesn't turn off my microphone. But no, I give the Bears credit for their performance, particularly in the last several games. But the Ravens are a vastly different team with Lamar Jackson. You hate to start saying this is a must-win. Look, this is a game where we've seen it toggle back and forth, where folks they're laying 6.5 with the Ravens and taking 7 with the Bears. I could see it again. Taking the 7 with the Bears is a play on the number. you're betting on those betting on the Ravens are, betting on a desperate team, right? So, he did miss a few games right off the bye last week, right? The Ravens were on their bye. So, but that said, it's not like they're the rest of the team is not as healthy. So, this will be a game where it'll be good because I think both sides will get action. We're just not going to need a 7, Chris.
Listen, we all know how good Lamar Jackson is. He's in the top, 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league. But how about that defense? I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And the Bears. I'm not crazy about betting momentum in the NFL because I know NFL is not linear. It goes back and forth. But the fact is, the Chicago's played much better.
Yes.
We expected some good things when Johnson took over as coach, and it took a while to build up. And, I still don't think Williams is quite there from where they want him to be. But still, I mean, that's one player. This is a good team. And like I said, I'm not crazy about playing momentum, but I am looking at numbers here. And, Lamar is going to make a huge, huge difference. But he ain't going to make a difference defensively. And they're missing a lot of guys on defense. And taking 7 points here with the dog, I got to take the 7.
Looking at your numbers, too, with the Bears, even 12th offensively, 27th defensively themselves. So I was already leaning to some points in this game. I don't love a 49.5. That's a high number, but maybe looking first quarter or first half between those two, getting some points, or even in game. All right, Chris, let's go to the Falcons here. Wow, another big spread. We've got 7.5 for the Falcons at home against Miami. Question marks if they're going to start Tua as well in this one. The Dolphins are quite a mess right now. Total 44.5.
Well, I think Tua probably going to get the start, but again, I'm anticipating. And I posted that earlier when I texted you guys the numbers. Atlanta is a conundrum to me. I'm not sure how they rate that high, and I've just been looking. And to me, there's a couple things involved here. Could they be good enough to go on a run? And I think they might have that talent to do that. Or are they poorly coached? And I think you can make that, Raheem Morris is who we're talking about there is their coach. They may be just poorly coached and they could drop them rather precipitously. I've been loving that word this year. But, there's a team that, I have trouble figuring them out. And that's, double checked all my numbers. What I'm doing, it's right there for what I've done. But that's a hard team to evaluate right now because their numbers say that they should be a lot better than they are, but they're not. Now, that being said, tough to take Miami in this spot, but I guess gun to my head, I'd probably take the points and just, try to hold on.
Tua probably on a short leash. Penix questionable.
Yeah.
And so do you see Cousins?
Yeah, that's not so bad
There
either.
are some folks that are, kind of saying, hey, that's not a bad thing. I mean, initially down the ladder, 7.5. They took 7.5, took 7, went to 6.5. Now back up to the opener. So, to Chris's point, you look at the Falcons, a terrific running back tandem, defense not awful, right? I mean, Chris, where do you have? I've got a turtle in front of my efficiency rankings, a turtle head or something over there. But I mean, so I think the Falcons' record. I think they're better personnel wise than their record is showing, but they're not firing, and you wonder.
Yeah, I think the personnel's there. But the production on the field is not there.
I don't want to give you more work, but I've heard a lot about Michael Penix's numbers and his home run splits.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've heard that?
Yes.
Just the yards per attempt, the
I think
accuracy,
that's legit.
all of it. So I'm wondering, if that actually.
You have them pretty high, Chris, right?
And I do. And I'm looking.
Game.
He's had a couple good games on the road. He's had a couple of bad ones on the road. And he's definitely been more consistent at home. Let's put it that way, but I haven't broken it down any further yet at this point. I may do it at the end of the year and see what I find.
Let's go to Carolina here. Bryce Young is out. It will be Andy Dalton. Josh Allen and the Bills are coming off a bye week and 2 losses before that. You got to imagine they're ready for this one. 7-point favorite on the road. Vinny, total 46.5.
Took the 7.5, Alex. I think you're going to see the public in more exotics with the Bills here, especially coming off the bye to get back on track against the Carolina. Now, this Carolina team, they won on the road last week against the Jets. It was, typically they were much better at home, and so this not a give me here. We're going to have to really fight this Bills team defensively has been extremely inconsistent. And the other part is, we know they can score points. Josh Allen takes an awful lot of hits, and I think that's concerning. So let's see if they've adjust somehow, some way, what they're going to do off of their bye. But I mean, even though that they took the initial 7.5, I think the Bills are going to be in quite a lot of exotics, moneyline parlays, teasers for sure.
Oh yeah, that for sure. Yeah, but I still like Carolina in this game. By the way, I'm looking through my numbers here. I give them the highest home field of anybody in the NFL, 3 points. They've been a much better home field. Their defense playing pretty good. I got to tell you, this Carolina is better than people think. Yeah. And we kind of, my numbers. One of the things that I did point out maybe about 3 weeks ago that this team was kind of coming along a little bit. It's a big number at home. And I know Andy Dalton, probably not the ideal thing, but I've never been a big Bryce Young fan anyway. Buffalo coming off 2 losses and a bye. I mean, you got to think if they're ever going to get it together, this is the time. But are they going to get it together more than 7 points? I don't know. I think Buffalo right now, I think if you're looking at a game where they could win, let's say 24-20, I think they walk out of that stadium happy as can be.
Right.
I like the dog here plus the 7. This is definitely going to be one of my plays.
Remember, Bryce Young got benched last year. Andy Dalton stepped in and won a few games in a row. It wasn't until he had an off-the-field injury that Bryce Young got his job back
Good point, Alex.
and looked great. So we'll see if he can do it here again a year later. Another 7.5. Let's go to Philly here. This is a revenge spot. Remember Thursday night, Jackson Dart led his team to a big win over the Eagles. Total 44 in this one, Chris. And, big number for the reigning champions in the Eagles here.
Well, I mean, I'm not the only one to say this, but this is a whole new team with Jackson Dart and Sbtb in there. It's just a whole different vibe from the Giants, and I think everybody's feeling it. A lot of negative vibes coming out of Philly right now. A.J. Brown, we said earlier on the show, has been declared out. That certainly can't help them. And I think, if you're just looking to win the game, which I think Philly has a great tendency to do, they win a lot of football games. I think, again, it's another team that were they to walk out of there with a 24-20 victory. I think, we got things back in. We're back on pace to where we should be. This is 7.5. Again, that half point, you're looking at, an extra possession that you have to convert in order to cover that number. I like the Giants plus a 7.5. I was afraid when I was kind of going through the numbers, was that going to be the popular dog? But the tickets are on Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. The money's on Philadelphia. The tickets are on Philadelphia. So, I am going to stick my neck out here. I like the Giants in this one.
They're on Philly and on the over. 2-point move to the over. Not a real surprise. We know the Eagles can score points, but the Giants have shown the ability to score points too. Have to wait and see now how this, how that loss, up 19-0, 19 points in the fourth quarter at Denver last week. Young enough to shake it off. I mean, they're just, and they're professional. Big difference, I think, professionally compared to the college level. But look, they are, the rookies are leading the way here. A lot of spirit with this Giant team.
You're right. I agree with that. Young enough to shake it off, I did say. And I don't have a good power rating right now on the Giants because I thought the Denver was a great play last week at home, laying 7, and it was not. They were fortunate to get that win.
They escaped.
So I think that there's got to be value. They're getting 7.5. Or if you're going to tease, I mean, you could tease that one up, get over double digits there with a good Giants team.
2 touchdowns.
Vinny, Patriots, I mean, the darlings right now, they are actually in first in their division. They're laying 7 at home against the Cleveland Browns. Dylan Gabriel will be the starter there against Drake May. What are you seeing in this one?
right now, this is a big number against a terrific defense. This Browns defense is as good as there is in the league, and but that said, I credit the Patriots for buying into Vrabel and buying into his team. Drake May gets, he seems to get better every week. This is one of those games where turnovers will probably determine, whether or not it's the actual win-loss outcome, but certainly the cover. But so far, there's support for both sides here.
Not only is Cleveland's defense good, they're getting better.
Yeah.
So I think this is a team that's really kind of gotten better. This is another one. I think this number's just gotten too high. I look for New England. They don't have a big home field advantage, which means they're just as good on the road as they are at home. So not to knock New England, because I have them rated pretty high. I love Mike Vrabel. I've talked about him a lot. I think he's a terrific coach. I think May has done a good job. I'm not the biggest Dylan Gabriel fan. I like bigger quarterbacks, and he's only 5'11". I mean, I'm not sure that's going to be conducive to over a long career. But right now they're playing pretty good, and I think this number is too high. And once again, taking 7 in a game, I got this on my list. I think that number is just too big.
Yeah, defense travels, and they have been very good and getting better, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Should be an interesting there. Of course, the Patriots 5-2 now, so we'll see if they can keep it going. But as you always say, they'll be happy just to win it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go to New Orleans here, catching 4 at home. You were just talking about their offense going up against Tampa Bay, who has a lot of injuries still. Total 46, coming off a tough loss against the Lions, which we know what that does to teams, because that was a physical game between those two.
It was, and Tampa was already the walking wounded. And, Evans, is he out for the year now?
Won't be, if he can come back, it'll be well. It's his clavicle, his collarbone.
Yeah. He's out this week anyway.
He's out this week,
so they
definitely.
have a lot of injuries. I think this is a really bad spot for Tampa Bay. And I got to tell you, the wise guys are all over New Orleans in this game. I could see why they would. My numbers don't really reflect that, but I don't think I have all the injuries properly recorded as far as adjusting for my power ratings. I tell you, I'm not on New Orleans in this game because the numbers kind of gotten away from me. But I would look to New Orleans or pass. I think it's just a really, really difficult spot for Tampa Bay. And again, my New Orleans numbers are higher than maybe they should be for a lot of reasons. But I think Kellen Moore is trying to figure out ways to not lose games. And if you're trying not to lose the game, you can cover 3.5 at home. And I think they can do that. I kind of like the dog here too.
Yeah, this is a favorite. I mean, albeit a road favorite. This is a favorite we're going to need this week. And to Chris's point, the injuries have really caught up with the Buccaneers. Conference game too. I mean, division game as well. So they've been gutty. They're going to need it in this game. This is a tough spot.
Minnie, I have a feeling you're going to need this next dog too. Two teams going in opposite directions.
Oh, no.
We got the Colts laying 14.5 at home against the Titans. What are you seeing in this? And where'd you guys open before you got here to 14.5?
They laid 2 touchdowns very quickly.
Yeah, we opened 14.
Open 14.
Yeah, this will be a pretty big decision too. With even though it's not the primetime game, there'll be plenty of carryover. The Colts will get plenty of attention from the betting public here. So they did lay 14 without hesitation, right, Chris? I mean, it's okay. 14, great. It's about Colts and over, so we're going to need dog and under in this one.
I'm looking at my screen here. We're the last 14.5 in the market. So as soon as I get upstairs, we're going to be at 15. I can tell you that. So if you're looking to lay it, hustle over to the South Point right now and save yourself half a point. I made the number 14. It's just hard to win by that score, no matter what. But boy, I'll tell you what, Tennessee, this just, I mean, you look at this team. Again, you talk about management. They fired Mike Vrabel. I mean, come on. What could you possibly be thinking?
By the way, the Jets interviewed him too.
Okay. Yeah, another organization. I mean, really, we talk about quarterbacks, coaches, of course, but, let's look at ownership and general managers too.
Yes.
Look at Philadelphia.
No doubt.
Howie Roseman and what's the owner's name? Lurie? Lurie, yeah. I mean, they run a hell of an organization.
It's just like any other business. The product the end product, in this case, the team on the field, is a direct reflection of ownership/management. No question.
Two really good games to finish the Sunday slate here. 1:25 Pacific time. Denver, 3.5-point favorite at home, hosting Dallas. And Chris, before the season started, you said, is this one of those years where we don't have Dallas high enough? We have no expectations for them. Is that going to, come back around? They've been pretty good. But now they're on the road. They're catching 3.5. We know about their defense, and that's why we're seeing a high total here at 50.5.
Yeah, you talk about Penix on the road. I mean, Dak Prescott, too. I think, by the way, he's playing some great football, but not that great on the road. It's just not. He's going to a Denver team who, again, they're not the same home field advantage they've had over the years. But I give them 2.5, which is still among the highest I have for the NFL. I think it's a bad spot for Dallas. I think it's a good spot for Denver. Big win last week, a miraculous win last week, and sometimes that could go either way. But I think it's a bad spot for Dallas and pretty decent spot for Denver at home. I'd be careful with Dallas on the road from here on in. I mean, maybe they change my mind, and now that CeeDee Lamb's back, maybe it's a whole different team. But I'd be very careful with them on the road.
Laying the 3 with the Broncos, taking 3.5 with the Cowboys. Highest total on the board right now at 50.5. Here's the thing: if the Giants could score that many points against the Broncos last week, the Cowboys we know they can score. So I think that's that speaks to the fact that this game is getting bet over, and not a real surprise here. It's I don't know. I think a little different than Chris. It's not going to shock me if the Cowboys can pull this, because they can score. I mean, they can't stop anybody, but their offense is strong, and it's dangerous. So we'll see. But pretty good game, and this will be a game that everybody's involved with for sure. One of those games.
Looking at Chris's numbers right there, I mean, Dallas third offensively and 32nd defensively. And the Broncos are very high, top 10 in both, but haven't seen them put it all together yet for 60 minutes. But they need to start fast, right? Because that has been the problem so far this year. So 3.5, I do feel like that is a pretty cheap number. There are some 3s out there too, though, if you do like the favorite. Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Chris, this is Aaron Rodgers' revenge game going up against his old team here.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh getting points at home, and the Packers haven't really blown anyone out. I know they're pretty high in a lot of people's power ratings, but getting 3 here, Pittsburgh coming off a loss. How do you feel about your Steelers?
Well, I think both teams have shown that I don't really believe in either one of them, to be honest with you. The difference is I'm getting 3 points at home with the one team. Now, this is not going to make one of my official plays, but I think I said last week, Green Bay, I'm not sold on them yet. I mean, I think they're pretty good, but, a lot of guys have them up near the top of the NFC, and I just don't. I think, I question Love. I think, he's been good at times, and there's times when he hasn't been that good. Listen, if you think this is just another game for Aaron Rodgers, think again, because, I mean, he really wants this one. And right now the team has really rallied behind him, and I think they want to go out and win one for the old man too. So I think I like Pittsburgh. There's some 3.5 in the market. I shouldn't say that. The 3.5 is pretty much gone. Yeah, the 3.5's gone. You might get that come Sunday night, but I definitely like the dog in this spot. I think, I made the number. I mean, I made Green Bay 1.5. So 3.5's cutting it pretty close, but that's obviously a huge number at that 3. I think I would take the dog. Yeah.
Couple of point move to the over. Anytime it hits 3.5, it's a take. The Green Bay, to me, from a power rating standpoint, they're going to have to show me more on the road, more consistency on the road. So the Steelers here going to get. I mean, both teams are going to get support. By the way, I did hear Rodgers say, or he was quoted as saying that he wants to retire as a Packer.
Yeah.
You're going into this game, and that's your. What are you talking about? You can't wait.
That's
till the
okay.
end.
You're going to fight hardest against your brother. Aren't you?
Yeah, but don't you want to say it after the season or after the game? I mean, what are you doing? You're wearing the black.
We're lucky he's not in the cyber chamber somewhere. I mean,
Maybe he needs to get in one, stick his head in it. I mean, that's a little bit of bulletin board material, in my opinion.
Definitely need to check up on Josh Jacobs. I believe he should be good, but right there, your numbers: Green Bay 21st offensively. They cannot move the ball. They have
and
not
a lot
looked
of that
great.
is on the road. They have and I'm just looking right now. They have a big home and road split. They are much better at home.
And I mean, they rely on Josh Jacobs to do a lot of that work. And I know running backs can do that, but still, I don't trust Jordan Love yet either. One more Monday night, Vinny, 12.5 here for the Chiefs, and everybody's jumping on board with Kansas City because they look right and shut out the Raiders last week coming into this one, but now they have Washington, no Jaden Daniels, so we are going to see Marcus Mariota again on Monday night.
He should get McLaurin and Deebo Samuel back, I think. So we want to double check and make sure of that. But they and Alex, maybe you can see what the latest is on them if they practice today. But indications earlier in the week were that they may
both
be back.
returned to practice.
Yeah.
You are correct.
So I think that's a big help for Mariota, and we've talked about it on the show for the last several weeks. The Chiefs are better than their record, and now, of course, that they're pretty healthy, healthier than they were, particularly in the receiving core. So they're efficient. And after that the last game against the Raiders, I mean, this is a game that went from 10 to 10, 12 and a half. This game's, and again, this is going to have the most carryover. 13 at the very least. I'd be shocked if we don't see it, or higher, maybe 2 touchdowns.
Oh, you'll see 13 if any of these favorites.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of favorites, most of which I'm picking against, by the way. But we got a lot of favorites.
Yeah.
If they all win, this number's going to 13 or maybe even higher.
Yep.
But that being said, I think it's an over-adjustment.
Me too.
I think, if Jaden Daniels was in the game and playing 100%, I think we're looking at about maybe 8, 7.5, 8, something like that. You got Mariota, who's been around a long time. He's not terrible. You got a couple of guys coming off injuries, Samuel and McLaren.
Big additions.
I mean, I think that those are big additions. I think this is an over adjustment. I think that this number's gotten way too high.
I'm with you guys. I mean, I made it 7 and then needed to adjust a little bit.
I made it 7 with a healthy Daniels.
Right.
And receivers.
So then, but yeah, I didn't even realize that news with Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel. Of course, he has not played yet this year, McLaurin, but that would be huge. So it's an overreaction. Shut out the Raiders and, Commanders losing that game on Monday. But that's it. I guess we got to get through your picks.
I got 4 picks.
Yes, 205. That was
If you're a chalk player, turn your head.
these are not for you.
These are not for you. And Vinny, I wish Mike Roth, remember the old Leroy's guy was around? He loved when he called. In the old days, he had to call to get the numbers. So if there was 2 7s in a row, he'd go 14. And I remember one time there was 3 7s in a row. He said 21. And I mean, he was like in his glory. Anyway, this would be like about 28, Vinny. I like the Bears plus 7. The Giants plus 7.5. Okay. Panthers plus 7. Browns plus 7. So a lot of pluses on my board.
Where's Ann?
A
Ann?
lot of touchdowns.
A lot of pluses.
A lot of touchdowns.
How about a little 4-dog
sevens.
roundy? How about a 4-dog roundy?
There we go. I like it. Let's see the poll. I bet you these are the options too. Which road dog are you taking this weekend? Is it the Bears?
I got a quick thing here. Just came across. Brock Purdy is out.
Okay.
Sticking with Mac Jones
Mac
there.
Jones.
Who has been very good.
Yeah, it's been good.
Just 3 options. Is that correct, Ryan? Okay. Bears plus 7, Giants plus 7.5, or Browns plus 7. And Chris
I got all 3.
is taking all 3. The poll says it's a tie between the Giants getting 7.5 and the Browns getting 7. No love for the Bears. It's what Vinny said, a desperate team there with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But should be a good weekend. Looking forward to it. Thank you for those plays too. Hopefully,
And my college picks, I'll post them after 5:00.
And your handle on X
At Andrews Sports.
and Vinny by the Book
At Vinny by the Book.
and Alex White with 2 E's. And follow Sports by the Book, please, because we'll have clips coming from this episode and more. We'll be back Monday. Did I forget anything else?
I think you covered it.
Ryan McCormick or Sean? We're good. Okay. I'll tweet some of my picks too. So give us a follow there. Thank you, everybody. If you missed the morning show, go back and watch it, please, because Ryan and I covered everything for tonight. 4 hockey games. We covered the World Series. We gave our MVP picks. Cannot wait. Game 1 tonight. Blake Snell. We win
Big
over
win
hockey.
by the Penguins last night.
Yes,
Big
they've
win
been
by the
they've been
early
pretty good.
season surprise.
They've been playing great.
I had to bump them up already. So hockey's been fun. We'll be back Monday. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and let people know. Share our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate it. For Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again Monday here on Sports by the Book.